take a look at these, or are you good? You're warm. I missed the whole dance. I didn't know what was going on when the kitchen doing dishes.
Where's wood has been divided.
Oh, good, I figured somebody had. Did you win?
Oh, I wasn't
Okay, good, okay, good.
I wasn't gonna I didn't wanna do it, but I was like.
But if you're gonna do it,
not win.
yeah, right.
Yeah, you might have missed it.
Yeah. Yeah, you did a good job. Like next year, because the returning champ is not gonna return.
You're not gonna defend your title?
Oh, I missed it.
They're doing the dishes. So loud and they're like, oh, they're doing the dance, they went up them.
Oh. She's.
Thank you. 10 o'clock. This is January 13th. This is the Broadwater County Commissioners' business meeting. If you'd all please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. I want to thank you guys for coming. Before we get started, a couple of years ago this commission reached out for help for ways to increase civility in our meetings and decrease conflict. One of the ideas that was given to us by some of the experts we worked with was a setting of the ground rules before the meeting. This used to be done years ago, and so I'm going to do it again. So this is the Commissioner's business meeting. This is where we take care of county business for our 6,000 or so residents. This meeting is open to the public, and we welcome anyone to participate by promoting basic civility. Documents are available for review and copying prior to the meeting in the clerk and recorder's office. It's in this book. These meetings are recorded. They are on YouTube and the county website. For the county website, just Google Broadwater County and it's the first thing that comes up. These are the only videos of these meetings that are unedited and uncut. We follow Robert's Rules of Order and county civility and open meeting policies, and those were reaffirmed last week. Under Robert's Rules of Order, all comments shall be directed to the board chair. Sideline conversations can be taken out into the hall. For public comment, please come up to the podium, which is right over here. Upon recognition by the chair, please state your full name for the record each time you stand to speak. The reason for this is those folks watching the video of our meetings can't see you, so they have a right to know who's speaking. For public comment, each person who wishes to speak will be given an initial 3 minutes to do so. More time may be allotted by the commission chair. Finally, this disclaimer has been approved by the commission and appears on our minutes. It applies to all public comment. Public comment is the opinion of citizens as individuals and does not necessarily reflect accurately on Broadwater County actions, operations, policy, practice, or processes. So with that, to begin today's business meeting, is there any public comment?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, my name is Tim Ravendahl. I'm with Redoubt News. I'm wearing that hat this morning to ask a couple of questions of the commission. First question. A couple of weeks ago, one of our citizens in Broadwater County submitted a petition, signatures to raise discussion on what's going on with several things going on with the Public Works Department. Number two question that needs to be answered. Several weeks ago, a letter was read into the record regarding Granite County concerned about what's going on with the Mason Moore account and the funding of that. It's a tragedy, and we need to really just try to make sure that the people know what's going on with local government of Broadwater County and how that's playing out. The next thing is there's several meetings ago, there's been official meetings with the county commission regarding a concern over county roads. And those county roads, one in particular, Red Hill Road up in the McMaster Hills, BLM land. There's been several meetings, trips up onto that property. The county road, according to what we've been able to decipher, has been closed but never abandoned. And there's a issue pending there, as well as the one that our county attorney brought up with Indian Creek that talks about the possibility of having a county road recognized by this commission in Indian Creek. So then the last, certainly but not least, several, I can't say how many, several meetings, this commission and the commission before Commissioner Folkberg come on, raised questions about what to do with a county-owned building that was stored out at the county yard here in the city. That building came from the Forest Service as a donation for the Rural Fire District. A couple of weeks ago, I asked our Rural Fire Chief, Mr. Schindel, what the status of that is, and what he told me was that they're working still forward to get the agreement between the private property owner where that public building was put and the district, but yet there's still a legal problem with access or easement to that property, and that's not been resolved. So please get the people updated on what's going on to that. And the reason I'm bringing that one up as Redoubt News, a lot of the private landowners have been saying, hey, how come that building with its value or otherwise have not been put up for public offering in an auction or something. You know, there's a lot of people that said, hey, I would have loved to have a chance at that building too. With that said, Madam Chair, members of the commission, please move forward towards transparency. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Public comment? Public comment. All right. We will move forward in our agenda. Next, we have minutes from January 6th, 2020.
I'll move to approve the minutes from January 6th, 2020.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from January 6th, 2020. Is there any public comment? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, another Commissioners' Community Update. This is an opportunity to share with each other what we've been doing and update the Commission on anything going on the full Commission should be aware of. Daryl, what'd you do this week?
I guess I'm not really prepared for that. I need to look at my calendar and see where I was at here. To be honest, I think we actually have had a pretty easy schedule, at least from my standpoint, because of the holidays. I really don't see anything that's worthy to share.
All right,
So.
Mike?
Attended the trust board meeting and the management training meeting with the department heads, where we continued the discussion of the county policy employees book.
And both those meetings were attended by the three of us. We also had the communications committee meet. We'll talk about that, I think, at the end of the meeting, if that's good with you guys. The National Justice and Public Safety Committee met this week. Good news is that JAG funding is going to be increased this year by about $500 million. JAG funding, Brandon will be glad to know this, you probably already know this, for Montana, the Board of Crime Control uses JAG funding to fund the drug task forces. So almost every county is involved. There has to be at least 5 public entities, counties, cities, tribal, that come together to form a drug task force. So that is where that funding goes. There was a recent $50,000 grant. A series of grants were awarded. A lot of those went to K-9 units. Did we get any of those, do you know? Brandon, did we put in for the JAG grants for K-9? Are you aware of any?
We have not, there's no need for that at this point,
Okay.
we're pretty set right now where we're at. Gallatin County did, and, through the drug task force to pay for their canines. So, the way I understand how that works is that, when we're in need, we can go to them and ask for some equipment and, or to replace the canine as well, so.
Thank you. Whenever there's a grant through Board of Crime Control, it's nice that Broadwater County is involved even through the drug task forces. Agency on Aging met last week. I want to talk about this too at the end of the meeting, but of all the counties, there's 6 counties that we are together with, we're the only one that has no transportation available for seniors. So we have some options, and I'd like to bring that forward here a little bit later. And then this will come up in mail, but we did get half of our reimbursement back from a reimbursement grant. So that's good news. Are there any anything else you guys want to add for Commissioners' Community Update? All right, certificate of survey. Do we have a certificate of survey? Nope. All right. So we have 10 minutes till our next appointment. I'm just going to quickly go through the mail if that's good with you guys. We got an email from Chantil at Mako. Good news, Secure Rural Schools has been funded also with an increase this year. We should be getting our payment this spring and then next spring. So we have 2 guarantees. The increase is $425 million. And we will split that with the school, so we get about 1/3 and the school gets 2/3. We got a letter from Yellowstone Country. Marty Malone is working for them. He used to be a county commissioner. That's why probably why he's reaching out to local governments. But they are offering some deals on vehicles. I'm going to share this with the departments that it applies to. RY Timber sent an unfortunate letter. It's dated today. And it states, this letter is being provided by RY Timber pursuant to the Federal Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. Effective today, RY Timber is providing notice to 70 of its employees that it will be curtailing sawmilling and planing operations at the Townsend, Montana facility. And as a result, RY Timber will be conducting large-scale layoffs that will take place no sooner than April 1, 2020. If RY determines that it must lay off any employees prior to that date, those employees will be compensated for the number of days between their final date of employment and the above-referenced April 1 date. The above-referenced notice is being provided to employees working at 85 Mill Road, Townsend. If you require additional information concerning the layoffs, please contact Dan Richards. The reimbursement we received was in the tune of $1,551. For such, this was for our support of the Johnny Crow project, the amicus brief that we did with Katie Feeback. And we have a letter from Department of Revenue. Now, I think I need to take this to Ann's office, but it says that this is for the sale of county property. Does anybody know of any county property that's been sold?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Okay,
I suspect it's probably for the purchase of the Opportunity Building, but I don't know that.
oh, all right.
Okay, here.
I'll go to your office and work with Doug on this. Okay. I will still give it to you though for public record. And then we have bylaws for the Mental Health Local Advisory Council. It is in the form of a resolution, it doesn't need to be done as a resolution, so we can just remove this and then we'll put this on the agenda for next week, unless you guys have any other thoughts. Okay. So, it's 10:15. Kathy Marks, Lori Lattis, Rocky Mountain Development Council, present your work plan. Ladies, if you would stand up at the podium right over here, it's just on the other side of that pillar. And welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, commissioners, for having us today to present our work plan. I will start out with, well, maybe I should say I'm Lori Lattis. I know that a couple of you know me already, but I'm the executive director at Rocky. And we are the Community Action Agency, also known as HRDC, Human Resources Development Council, for Broadwater, Jefferson, and Lewis and Clark counties. And we provide services to low-income individuals and families and senior citizens in the 3 counties. And our programs include Head Start. Area 4 Agency on Aging is also under Rocky's umbrella. We do Meals on Wheels. We serve congregate meals in the 3 counties. We have LEAP and weatherization under our energy services program. We have affordable housing. We have a couple of properties here in Townsend, and altogether 10 properties in the Tri-County area, and we're currently constructing an 85-unit project in Helena. So we have to come before you every 2 years and ask for your approval on our work plan. Part of being a community action agency is that we receive Community Services Block Grant, or CSBG funding, from the federal government. It comes through the state to us. And as part of that grant, we're required to follow what's called ROMA, Results Oriented Management and Accountability. And it is part of this work plan where we will outline what we hope to achieve with the services over the next 2 years. And it's very outcome driven. So we have a very strict, it's a prescribed format that we have to follow, and Kathy is the expert on the work plan. She's the one who prepares it and gathers the data from all of our programs. So I'm gonna let her talk about the work plan.
Thank you, and I'm Kathy Marks. I'm Operations Director at Rocky. And I'm gonna go through just a little bit of this work plan. As you can see, it's quite detailed. But if you go to the gray box, kind of a third of the way down, it says RNG goal. That's Roma Next Generation Goal. And all of Rocky's programs fall into the low-income people become more self-sufficient. So all of Rocky's programs are, we work towards that goal. This first page and the next couple are the education and cognitive development domain of these goals. And what it is we ensure low-income children get the readiness skills necessary to achieve and advance in school. And like I said, I don't want to read through all of this, but then if you go into the just all the white boxes below, it's all of our Head Start, where we are getting children ready for school, and not just ready for school. We make sure that they're headed towards literacy, that they gain the attention skills they need, positive approaches towards learning. They're ready for school, and that they have the social and other skills necessary. Then on this, our education goal, there's also our foster grandparent program. One of the programs we run are foster grandparents, and they are in the Head Starts, elementary schools, and even our Rocky Mountain preschool. And so they're doing the same work, but they're providing one-on-one mentoring with a lot of the children. And so those programs and our Rocky Mountain preschool all fall under the education pieces of this. And then if you go, I think it's page 3, and they're not numbered, and I apologize for that. Our next one is income and asset building. Rocky doesn't do a lot of work with income and asset building, but we do with our home buyers education program, where everybody who comes to one of our classes, they're held monthly at Rocky. They also have one-on-one training with someone who can help them learn to budget and take all the steps necessary to become ready to purchase their own home. So that's what the income and asset building domain is. You go one more. Oh, I put in here this year too, that we have done some financial training. We got a special CSBG grant for a year and did some training for them to financial skills. And it was people not necessarily buying a home, but we did 6 classes of trying to help people in the Helena area learn to better their skills to become more self-sufficient. The next one down a few is it's the domain of households experience safe temporary shelters, avoid eviction, avoid foreclosure, experienced improved health, safety, and efficiency, and or energy burden reduction. All of our affordable housing falls under this, as well as our energy services program. As Lori mentioned, we provide weatherization in LEAP, and LEAP provides, they can have reduced heating costs and even get maybe wood delivered if that's their heating source. We also provide some emergency shelter, or not emergency shelter, some emergency funding. If someone's furnace goes out or their hot water tank goes out, there is some funding available to keep them warm and be able to have all the warm shower facilities. And then our affordable housing falls under this domain also, where we try to keep people in their homes or help them have affordable homes. And then we also have an emergency solutions grant, and it's part of CSBG. And we actually we pass it through to Good Samaritan Ministries in Helena, because they have other funding available and they're helping the homeless and nearly homeless. And that falls under this. They do things like first and last month's rent, or what else?
Security deposits.
Yeah, things like that, just so they can find a place to stay if they've been evicted or if they're close to being evicted. We get phone calls of people getting off a bus in Helena and having nowhere to go, and that's what this grant is for. And it works through the continuum of care. It's a program, a state program, but in Helena it's housed at United Way, and they work with a housing group there to try to see who has the most need and get people the housing they need. But the biggest problem with this is landlords that will accept some, people like that, people who have maybe not the best rental history and things like that. If you go a couple more pages, it's our domain of health and social behavior development domain. And that's where all of our senior nutrition programs fall, and also foster grandparent and senior companion. The main Roma Next Generation goal is to keep people, in their own homes, and to, sorry, I'm getting a cold, so I'm having a little trouble here. But trying to keep people in their own homes so that they are not as much of a burden on society, because it's much cheaper for someone to stay home in their own home than to go into assisted living or something like that. And so we have a senior companion program that operates here too, where we have a senior who will help another senior, and they'll buy groceries, go to doctor appointments, things like that. But then all of our senior nutrition, whether it's Meals on Wheels or coming into the daily dinner clubs, is really important, not only for the meal that they receive, but for the companionship and just not being so isolated. It really helps. And even the home delivered meals, the person delivering the meal can't stay for more than a few minutes, but they at least do that safety check-in every day to make sure that the person in their home is okay. They know after going there day after day if the person is really significantly changed in their health or something like that. They'll make sure that someone is there to help them out, their next of contact or whatever. And also then the Area Agency on Aging that provides all of the senior resources, trying to let seniors know where to go for any kind of help that they need. And then we go to the civic engagement and community involvement. And that's basically, we provide training for all the senior companions, foster grandparents, and RSVP volunteers. And so we're making helping them stay independent, and not only as the volunteer to have a better quality of life, because they're out there helping other people. They're not just retired and staying in their homes. And then again, it talks about the energy services program again, where we have some energy share money, right? And that's for the emergencies. And so it's partnering and collaborating with other agencies. And I think that's it. The very last page just shows some of them that really didn't fit in other places. Rocky has a very limited senior transportation program. We bring seniors to the senior center in Helena for lunches, or, you know, it could be any of the classes we have. We have bingo, we have line dancing, we have a lot of things going on every day, wood carving, and it takes them back to their home. The senior companion is a little bit different because they can take people to doctor's appointments, and we do realize that that's one of the lacking things, and I know you just mentioned it, but it's lacking everywhere to get, to look for funding to get a senior or almost anybody to a doctor's appointment if they don't have the right transportation. So it's very detailed, and I'm happy to answer questions about anything that I didn't touch on here.
Gentlemen, any questions?
No, I guess my only comment is after, you know, reading your plan and listen to what you talked about today is, I think that there's a lot of folks out there that don't know that this service is available.
Right. Yeah, we struggle with that. Most of our federal money won't let us advertise, so we're trying our best to do things the best we can to get the word out. In Helena, we will talk to service groups and places like that, but if they're, you know, I know that our Area 4 Agency on Aging people come down here once in a while to the senior center and talk about, you know, Medicare or Medicaid. But if you have other times where you think some of us could get down here and talk about our programs, we're happy to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be excellent. It's one of the reasons that we talk about it in these meetings, is to try to also have that outreach.
Right.
Yeah. Any further questions? All right, Tim, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah.
Tim with Redoubt News, just a real quick question for maybe some clarification from the folks, Madam Chair. Understand that there's a lot of different sources for revenue for Rocky Mountain, and it gets spread out across a big spectrum of different things that they do for the citizens and the people that are in need. Question I have on this is you got a 2-year work plan. How much money are we talking about to operate that plan under the current conditions, and how much is local government, as in the county, contribute to that plan?
Thank you.
I'll take
I'm
that
looking
one.
at Lori.
I'll take that. So we have a total budget for Rocky, for our entire organization, that is in the neighborhood of $9 million. About 60 to 65% of that is federal funds, and another probably 20%-ish is state dollars. And then we do have contributions from each of the 3 counties in the form of county mill. I believe the Broadwater County piece is in around 32,000 a year. I apologize that I should have looked at that before I came down, because I should have anticipated that you might have a question about that. But I can certainly follow up with you if you would like a more exact number. Would you like me to email the commission or contact you directly?
Either way.
Okay.
If you wanna just send an email, we can bring it out in next week's meeting.
Okay.
And then also provide how many meals. I think it's like 2 to 3, so I think you're about right.
Okay.
Yeah, adding the 2.
Okay.
So,
Does that answer your question?
Okay.
Thanks.
yeah, thank you. Any other questions from the audience? All right. As far as any questions I have, I've been able to work with you guys. Mike serves on your board. I get to serve on the Agency on Aging board. We just had a meeting last week, and driving back from that, we were just a couple of chatterboxes. It's always inspiring. You realize how much of a hole there is, how much need, but it's inspiring in that there are so many people, Rocky, stepping in to try and fill that. So, yeah, thank you very much. I do hope we can put something together with transportation. We had Pat with, is he with MDT?
What's his last name?
I was just trying to think of what, no, he's with DPHHS.
Okay.
Yeah, and he is the transportation liaison between them and MDT.
Okay.
So he's the gentleman we're going to have come to town and help us to know what some of our options are.
Have you guys talked with, I think Jefferson County and particularly Whitehall has some transportation. They seem to be really pretty good at it. And I just recently heard that they are gonna be working with Boulder to try to expand what they're doing to Boulder. And I know that it's very much oriented towards helping people that are homebound, you know, can't drive, if they need to go to doctor's appointments and things like that. So I don't know if you're aware of that, and you can maybe talk with them about how they do it.
Yeah, they were the inspiration.
Okay.
Whitehall is smaller than we are, and they had 94,000 trips last year helping seniors.
Wow.
I mean,
Holy cow.
that one states
Wow.
there's a need, and two, it states they're doing something right by getting
Right.
it done.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how they fund it. Do you know how they fund
Well,
it?
that's the thing with Pat is there is money out there.
Okay,
And he has some funding options, but MDT has some money in the form of grants to help communities like Whitehall, like Broadwater County, afford a bus and then
Right.
what needs to
Right.
go with it to provide the rides. So,
yeah, well,
yeah,
that's exciting. I
Yeah.
wish you great luck with that.
thank you. There's a dire need.
Yes,
there
for
is.
sure.
There is even in Helena, you know, we have a fixed route bus system, but it's not enough. And when you're someone who has to go to a doctor appointment where you can't just be let off at the door, it's really hard too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
huge need all
Yeah.
over.
It
But
is.
what you guys do is tremendous, so thank you
Thank you.
very much.
So
Thanks.
we have a letter that I don't know if it would be easier, it probably would be easier for us to just send you what you've done in the past, and you can just update the dates and everything from there if you're willing to do that.
Absolutely.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
allowing us to come and talk, and we really appreciate it.
absolutely.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for all you do.
Thank you.
And you're both welcome to stay and listen in the rest of your afternoon, or you're free to go.
Okay, thank you. We'll probably head out for other things we have to deal with. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, 10:30 on the dot. Mary Hendrickson, Public Works Director, approve commitment letter for the Toston PDM grant application, replace truck for roads, purchase a bulldozer for roads, and the solid waste plan report. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you. Thanks for having me this morning. First of all, I'll give you a copy of this is the original for signature
Thank you.
of the commitment letter for the PDM grant. So, as you know, we are working on a pre-disaster mitigation grant application through FEMA for the work that we need to do down in the northwest Toston area. What we have done is we have put some culverts out there this fall. We did do some culvert installations, but part of the work that we need to do is put in some box culverts in a couple of different areas and raise the grade on Spikes Lane and Lone Mountain, to name a few. So the purpose of this letter is to show them that we are committed to providing our in-kind for that. So I'll just go ahead and read it. It's addressed to Jake Gainey. He's the State Hazard Mitigation Officer with Montana DES. And this letter is to confirm that Broadwater County, in applying for the pre-disaster mitigation grant for the Toston Northwest project, is fully aware that the project funding will be conducted as follows. The PDM funding contribution is $243,675. Broadwater County's contribution would be $81,225 for a total project cost of $324,900. It's understood that the total project cost projection is based upon preliminary estimates and may be subject to change. It is also understood that Broadwater County is prepared to satisfy its match by either cash or well-documented in-kind contribution. The value of these local contributions may exceed the minimum 25% match amount requirement. Broadwater County will collect and provide detailed documentation to verify cash, in-kind, and/or other task match expenditures associated with this project for submission in quarterly reports. So do you have any questions about that? Any questions about the work that we need to do there?
So at this point, we feel that we probably have enough in-kind
Yeah, oh, yes,
contribution
definitely.
to meet this.
Yes,
This is the
definitely.
work that we have to do.
Yes,
Right.
yes, we do. We do, we have culverts, and inventory.
Right.
Sorry. And there is quite a bit of material that we'll have to put. So I believe with just the hourly contribution of the operators.
Right, so our man hours are
Yes.
a part of that as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. And they will allow us to include fringe in the man hours, so,
Good.
which is great. So yes, my request is that you could sign that, and then I need to email that to WWC, and they'll include it with the application package that they'll send off to DES for us. So,
Any further questions for Mary?
Do you have any idea when this grant would be funded?
it's due to FEMA, January, I believe it was 11th, I'm sorry, 11th tomorrow.
14th, tomorrow?
Oh, I'm sorry, no, maybe the 20th. I looked at that this weekend, but we still have time to get it to them. DES is looking at it right now. It's due to FEMA by the end of the month. And it'll take them several months. I'm hoping that we know by the spring on this.
Okay.
So,
Any questions from the audience for Mary? All right.
okay.
Thoughts on the letter and support for the PDM grant?
Yeah, I have no further questions, so I'd like to make a motion. I move that we sign the pre-disaster mitigation grant funding commitment letter.
I'll second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we sign the pre-disaster mitigation grant funding commitment letter. Any public comment? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We'll give this to Ann to record and then get you a copy today.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
These are just pictures.
Thank you.
Some information written on the bottom.
Perfect, thanks.
Okay, so my next two requests are requests for expenditures from the road CIP. We have a 3/4 ton Chevy right now at the shop that was one of the operators' trucks that we have spent this last year. We probably spent over $3,000 in repairs, and it just does not run. I was hesitant to, and actually told the road crew I didn't want to take it into the shop for any further repairs. What would happen is they would be driving it down the highway and it would just stop. And took it to the shop a couple of times and thought we had it fixed, but it didn't do the trick. So I contacted State Surplus to see what they had. And we were looking for a 3/4 ton pickup that we could put some fuel tanks in to replace that. And we found a 2014 3/4 ton Ford pickup, 4-wheel drive. It's got a toolbox and a grill guard on it. It's got a little over 121,000 miles on it. It was a truck that was used by DNRC. It was a field truck. TJ and I did go out and take a look at it. We drove at it. I took a look at it and drove it around. Didn't see any problems with it. The only issue is some body damage on the passenger side rear door on that. It's not a crew cab, it's just a club cab. And a lot of times, just from my experience, state agencies are hesitant to repair any body damage on pickups. And the public surplus folks thought that was probably why DNRC is getting rid of it, just for that. But that pickup is $10,000. And it would replace the 3/4 ton Chevy that we have. and I would put that out on public surplus. My other request is for the expenditure of $16,500 to purchase a D7 Cat dozer. That dozer is a 1972 model. It's got a full track with rippers on the back. It's from federal surplus. It's got 1,033 hours on it. The latest condition report was completed in July of 2019. Showed that it was in usable condition and only needed a right cab headlight. It weighs between $51,000 and $54,000. We would have to put it into service, so since it's federal property, there are some requirements for use. We'd have to put it into service within 12 months, utilize it for 18 months. After that first 18 months, we can do with it what we choose. We do recognize the need for this equipment, especially at this price. Over, my gosh, the Christmas break, TJ and Will actually went up to Helena and looked at it, and they ran it. And they actually reported that it runs really good. It runs really good. This is a piece of equipment that we could use to finish up the work we need to do on Filson Road. And it would also come in very handy on the Toston Northwest project as well. So right now I have $175,000 in the CIP for roads. I do anticipate at the end of the fiscal year having another contribution from roads into the CIP. So I don't see any problems with expending the $26,500 for these, for the vehicle and for the dozer.
So it was around 16,000, right, for this?
Yeah, 16.5 for the dozer.
Mary, I don't know if you were in here, but we just got a letter informing us that SRS has been reauthorized.
Okay,
So you will get an infusion into your budget
awesome.
this spring, and it's guaranteed for next spring as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Well, any questions for Mary on either the truck or the cat dozer?
I guess on the dozer, when they did the service inspection, did they do the running gear? Did they check that? Did it mention it? I'm just curious.
It did not, Tama did not mention that in here.
All right.
But they did, TJ and like I said, TJ Will drove it around.
Yeah.
And the only thing that he said was the cleats on the track?
One of the sprockets or
No, just that they're shorter.
the roll? Oh, the grousers.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Are shorter, and they felt that it was probably because they used it on the road.
Yeah.
And not just on a gravel or dirt road.
Okay. Without seeing them, I really wouldn't know. But yeah, grouser height is, you know, it tells you whether the tracks were, or it could be a low ground pressure track system. Without knowing, we don't
Okay,
know. But
right.
okay. I think Bill has a question.
All right. Because you're at the podium, Bill, if you'd like to stay where you're at, please state your name for the record.
Bill Davis, rancher here. Mary, question on the dozer. If you don't have T&E out of Great Falls come and do what Darryl just said, respect the tracks and give you the percentage, to replace the tracks on a D7 Cat is $48,000.
Okay.
I went and looked at two D7s, 71 and a 72, like you're talking about. I know a lot about cats. T&E said that was the bid on it. And then for them to go drive it, they're not experienced cat operators. The torque converter test has to be done on a cat, which a cat operator can do, because if the torque converter fails, they have to take the engine out and then the torque converter. And we just put a torque converter in a cat. That is a track or a tire cat. And it was $16,000 for the torque converter and $32,000 for the labor if they had T&E do. We put it in. When you buy a used cat like this, if you don't have T&E come and give you their guy, he usually takes a week or two to get him. He'll come and do a complete survey of it, he'll give you a complete financial report on everything that the cat needs. My question, is this a military cat?
It
Because
is.
you said it is?
Yeah.
Right, if it only has 1,033 hours on it, it cannot have complete wore-off pads. There's failure in hour meters a ton of times. It could have 10,000 hours on it. But for the county to purchase that, I would certainly get P&E's information.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
I guess we're thinking the same thing, Bill,
Yes.
and that was gonna be my suggestion before we did
I
that.
am totally
to
happy
have-
to do that and come
Have
back and
P&E
ask you later.
do that, yeah,
That's
because it is important to know that, where
Yes.
we're at, and if we're into having to spend some money, that, I mean, that's fine. We just need to know how much,
Right.
if
You
that's
bet.
what we decide to do,
You bet. Thank you.
okay?
Thank you.
And then the other question, it weighs 50,000 pounds. I'd probably weighs a little bit more than that with the ripper and stuff on it. If you're gonna transport it, large transport trailer,
No,
carry that, so.
no.
Okay, so we'd have to have somebody come haul that,
Yes.
okay, all right, very good.
Bill has a
Any-
question.
Any more questions from the board?
Bill has a question.
Okay, yeah, I would like to give the board a chance first.
Yeah.
Bill, another question?
Daryl's right on the transportation trailer. The transportation trailers, to get the 54,000, they run from 38,000 to 120,000. The 65-ton trailers are very expensive. There was a used one in Shoto that was for 34,000 that would haul 55,000. And your county truck has a triple on it, no, a triple axle, right? You've
I
got
think
a-
it's only a double,
It's a
isn't it?
double.
Oh, so
Yeah.
your truck would have to be a different truck, you'd have to have a let-down triple axle on the truck, because the tandems are only 34 on the truck, 1,000 legal, and you can haul 43 on the triple, so you'd have to have a different truck. It's kind of a different investment, but yes, it would be a great investment for the county, but it would take, just get the right thing. If you get hung up, I don't know if the county can do it, but I have the D8 cat, and I have the D6, and Corey has another one. If the county has an emergency and needs those cats, please call us or put us on your list as available right here. And R&R Trucking out of Helena hauls cats, and he hauls it for BSE out here, and they want to sell their cat because it's too heavy, and R&R charges them, it's like $2,000 to come to move the cat someplace each time.
Okay. We have not paid that much for transport.
It's because of the weight trailers are so expensive that they have to.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Thanks for that information, Bill. All right, so I will be back
How
on
about
that
the
subject.
truck?
But I would like your approval to purchase the 3/4 ton Ford pickup.
I didn't really know what the value of that we were asking for that pickup. Did you do a check to see what a comparable one would cost on the market? Okay, I'm guessing a 2014 with 121,000 miles, that's $10,000 is probably still a pretty good price for that truck.
If you would like to just postpone this till the end of the meeting, we can give Mary a chance to
Yeah, I
get
can,
that.
Sure.
I can go look at the value, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, that's not a problem at all. What I would suggest is we just postpone it to the end of the morning session, not the end of the
Sure.
meeting.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
All right.
And we're gonna postpone the cat until
No, it's
further notice.
It's okay, we've been talking about this for a couple of months and it's just been crazy, so. All right, my last topic for discussion is the solid waste report on the canister site changes. And
Thank you.
you know, I do have a few extra copies of that if you'd like them. All right, so what I did is I just put together a summary report from June 1st to December 31st on the costs and revenues, implementation costs. So I'm just going to go through this with you. Broadwater County operates 5 rural canister sites and a combined Class 2 transfer station, Class 3 landfill and burn site. Canister sites are located at Dry Gulch, Toston, Radersburg, Winston, and on Cedar Street in Townsend. The canister sites were originally established for the convenient disposal of household garbage for county residents. Until June 2019, access to these sites were uncontrolled. As a result, non-household waste and waste generated from non-paying users were being deposited in the canisters. Consequently, the county experienced a steady increase in costs because revenues were not being collected from out-of-district users or from users that disposed of non-household waste at these uncontrolled sites. Beginning in 2016, Broadwater County Solid Waste Department began to experience a financial deficit that, at the end of fiscal year 2018, resulted in the accrual of a negative balance of more than $170,000. Other factors that contributed to this budget deficit included the commingling of waste in the canisters that, if segregated, could be managed at the transfer station rather than being disposed of at the offsite landfill. The purchase of equipment that was not integral to the overall solid waste operation. The lack of adjustments to the solid waste assessment since 2001, and the lag time between new home construction and billing for those assessments. So in June 2018, I was instructed by the commissioners to come up with a solution to control solid waste management costs in the county. In September 2018, a plan to change site operations was rolled out for public consumption. As a result of public objections to the original plan, 3 public meetings were held during October 2018 in the county. So we held a meeting in Towson, one in Townsend, and one at Winston. And the purpose was to facilitate public involvement in decision-making by seeking ideas and alternatives to solve the problem. In addition, written comments were also accepted and considered. With the assistance of the Solid Waste Board, the ideas and alternatives identified during the public participation process were analyzed to determine the most cost-effective approach. The final canister site management plan outlined each alternative the Solid Waste Board evaluated. The Solid Waste Board selected the plan that included controlling site access, utilizing personnel to monitor incoming waste, and requiring large loads and loads of non-household waste to be transported to the transfer station. Since the biggest concern for site users was access, a walk-in gate was installed at each site so that after-hours users could deposit garbage into a canister located just inside the fence. Ultimately, the Solid Waste Board's recommendation was presented to and approved by the Broadwater County Board of County Commissioners. The approved plan was implemented on June 1st of 2019. So what I did is I went through and I captured all the costs associated with the site modifications and construction. So the equipment, the signs, and the materials that we had to purchase totaled $25,461.77. And the labor cost to construct and do the modifications was $11,153.77. That includes the fringe. All those construction activities were done by county personnel. Now, as far as site monitoring, I've provided you the labor costs, and this is the cost for all the site attendants and includes fringe from June through December of 2019. And that total is $61,110.80. Now, for the cost savings and revenues, I went back and I looked at what we paid for tipping fees in calendar year 2018. And we paid $142,911.60. That's for the disposal of 5,103.99 tons. Now, during calendar year 2019, our total tipping fee cost was $114,539.10. And that corresponds to a tonnage of 4,405.35 tons. So our savings there is $28,372.50. And I did put together a couple of charts there that show you tipping fees. I went back to 2014 and looked at what we had for tipping fees and what we had for tonnage. And you can see that since 2014, tonnage has been increasing, with the exception of 2018. We took in 200 tons less in 2018 compared to 2017. But from 2014 to 2017, it went up almost 1,000 tons in 3 years. It's quite a bit. And then from 2014 to 2017, we went from little over $123,000 in 2014 for tipping fees. 2017 was $148,000, $148,000. So it's quite a bit.
So just something I guess I noticed when I was looking at that graphic, in 2014, you know, we paid up $123,156 in tipping fees. 2019, we only paid $114,536.
Right.
So I mean, that tells me that, and that was for more tonnage in 2014 than we are now. Is part of that related to the contract we had at that time?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So we were paying $28 a ton. That's why I put the tonnage in there for
Right.
you as well. Because we were paying $28 a ton, and right now we pay $26 a ton.
Okay.
So we will see some of that reflected in the overall cost, but when you look at tonnage, yeah, we're, yep.
I see it's about 700 tons less. Okay.
Yes. So then another thing that I looked at were fuel costs, because we're not taking the canister truck to every site. You know, some of these sites we were going every day. A couple of them, Winston, a couple times a day to empty the canister there. And we have 4 canisters at Winston. And that was an issue because we were getting out of county waste at Winston. We were also getting a lot of construction waste at Winston. And what we have noticed is we have seen a huge savings in fuel costs from January to June of so for calendar year 28, our overall just fuel costs were $38,213.77. And I broke it up in there, January to June, it was $18,717.25. July to December, it was $19,496.52. Now this is all, I cannot break it out between the excavator, the canister truck, the semi. It's impossible for me to do that. This is just fuel that we have purchased for solid waste. So in calendar year 2019, our total fuel costs were $33,132.97. And from January to June's contribution to that was $17,313.50. July to December, we spent $15,819.40. So in the last, comparing 2018 to 2019, we've saved over $5,000 just in fuel. So, and you'll see by this, our biggest savings we realized July to December, and that was, you know, we implemented these changes on June 1st. So at the most, we'll make 3 trips to Winston a week now. And that's mainly to empty the canister at the gate, right there. So that is still a busy site, and we have some ideas in mind on how to maybe deal with that a little bit better. So then I took a look at trips to the landfill. So back in 2018, during the calendar year, we were making between 5 to 7 trips a week. It was not uncommon for the guys to go from the spring until fall, to go twice a day, at least 1 day a week. And so what I did is I looked at the cost savings for just the semi and